The bridge of the U.S. Defiant hummed with quiet energy as Captain David Miller stood at the observation window, watching the stars streak by. Earth's most advanced battleship was on its first deep space mission, carrying humanity's hopes into the unknown. Though the ship looked like a standard military vessel from the outside, it held secrets that even most of Earth's own military didn't know about. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," Lieutenant Emily Hayes called from her sensor station. Her fingers moved quickly across the holographic display, multiple objects dropping out of faster-than-light travel ahead of us. Miller straightened his uniform and walked to her station. "Show me." The main screen lit up with a sight that made everyone on the bridge hold their breath. 7 massive ships appeared, each one at least 3 times the size of the Defiant. They were shaped like arrowheads, their hulls covered in what looked like crystalline growths that glowed with an eerie purple light. "First contact," Miller said quietly. He turned to Communications Officer Kevin Martinez. "Open all standard greeting channels. Let's do this by the book." Before Martinez could send the message, the alien ships moved into an attack formation. A harsh, grinding voice filled the bridge speakers, speaking in perfect English. "Primitive human vessel, this is Commander Zixtar of the Eternal Fleet. Your species has been observed and found wanting. Submit to immediate colonization, or be destroyed. You have 5 Earth minutes to lower your shields and prepare for boarding." The bridge crew looked at their captain. Miller's face remained calm, but his eyes narrowed slightly. "Lieutenant Hayes, what are you reading from their ships?" Hayes studied her instruments. "Their weapons are charging, sir. Energy readings are significant, but..." She paused, frowning. "There's something odd about their scanning beams. They're only reading our outer hull and basic power systems. They can't see past our quantum masking." Miller allowed himself a small smile. The Defiant's true capabilities were hidden behind layers of technology that made the ship appear far less advanced than it really was. It had been Admiral Chen's idea. Let any hostile aliens think Earth was an easy target. "Martinez, open a channel." Miller stood in the center of the bridge. "Commander Zixtar, this is Captain David Miller of the U.S. Defiant. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration. We have no hostile intentions, but we will defend ourselves if attacked. I suggest we talk about this." The alien commander's laugh sounded like grinding metal. "Defend yourselves. With that primitive vessel, our scans show you barely have functional shield technology. Your weapons are pathetically outdated. This is your final warning. Submit or be destroyed." Miller looked at his crew. Every face showed determination. They had trained for this, even if they hadn't expected it so soon. "Chief Engineer Wilson, status of our real shields." Robert Wilson's voice came through clearly from engineering. "Quantum phase shields are at full power, Captain. They don't have a clue what they're really looking at." "Very well." Miller sat in his command chair. "Lieutenant Hayes, keep tracking their weapons. Martinez, record everything for Earth Command. And someone wake up Dr. Bennett in the science lab. She'll want to study our new friends." The alien ships launched their first attack exactly 5 minutes later. Bright purple beams of energy shot toward the Defiant from multiple directions. On the bridge, no one flinched. The beams hit the Defiant's seemingly weak shields and disappeared into nothing. Through the view screen, Miller could see the confusion in the aliens' attack pattern as they pulled back slightly. "Their weapons are using a form of plasma energy," Captain Laura Bennett reported, having arrived on the bridge just in time for the attack. Her eyes were bright with scientific curiosity. "Quite powerful, but our quantum phase shields are turning it into harmless radiation." The alien commander's voice came back, but this time it held a note of uncertainty. "What trickery is this? Our scans showed." "Your scans showed what we wanted them to show," Miller interrupted. "Commander Zixtar, I'm going to make this very simple. You can either stand down and talk to us properly, or you can find out what else this primitive vessel can do. The choice is yours." The alien ships held their position, weapons still charged. On the Defiance bridge, Captain Miller waited patiently. First contact hadn't gone as planned, but it was about to become a lesson in why appearances could be deceiving, and why humanity was far more dangerous than they appeared. Chief Engineer Robert Wilson ran his hand along the smooth surface of the quantum core, the heart of the Defiant's most powerful secrets. The engineering bay hummed with energy as he checked the readings on his tablet. Around him, his engineering team worked quietly, all of them aware of the tense situation above. "Wilson to bridge," he called out. "Captain, you need to see this. Our sensors are picking up some interesting data about their ships." 5 minutes later, Captain Miller walked into engineering, followed by Science Officer Laura Bennett. The quantum core's blue light cast shadows on their faces. "What did you find?" Miller asked. Wilson pulled up a 3D display of the alien ships. "Their weapons are impressive, I'll give them that. But look here." He pointed to specific areas on the alien vessels. "They're using crystal-based technology. Everything. Their weapons, shields, even their engines, runs on these purple crystals. And that matters because," Miller asked, though his eyes showed he was already thinking ahead. Laura Bennett stepped forward, her eyes bright with excitement. "Because crystal tech has a major weakness. It can shatter if hit with the right frequency." She turned to Wilson. "Is that what you're thinking?" Wilson nodded. "Our antimatter cannons can be tuned to match that frequency. One good hit could disable their ships without destroying them." Captain Miller was about to respond when Martinez's voice came through the intercom. "Captain, we're picking up transmissions between their ships. You need to hear this." Back on the bridge, Martinez played the intercepted communications. The alien voices spoke quickly in their own language, but the computer translated. "These humans are hiding something. Our initial scans must have been wrong. Impossible. We've studied them for months. They're primitive." "Then explain why their shields absorbed our strongest weapons. The High Command must be informed. If they're this advanced." Miller turned to his crew. "What else are they saying?" Martinez's fingers moved across his console. "Sir, there's more. They're talking about other species they've conquered. Lots of them. They target worlds they think are weak, demand surrender, then take over." Laura Bennett spoke up from her station, where she was analyzing the data. "Captain, I've been studying their historical records that we downloaded. The Zixtarians have done this hundreds of times. They're bullies. They only attack species they think can't fight back." "Well," Miller said with a slight smile, "they picked the wrong species this time." Suddenly, Lieutenant Hayes called out from her sensor station. "Captain, they're powering up something bigger. Energy readings are off the charts." The main screen showed the alien ships moving into a new formation. Their crystalline structures began to glow brighter, pulsing with purple energy. "Wilson," Miller called to engineering, "now might be a good time to show them our other surprises." "With pleasure, sir," Wilson replied, activating the full quantum phase shield matrix now. The Defiant's hull began to shimmer with a faint blue light. What had appeared to be normal armor plating transformed, revealing intricate patterns of advanced technology that had been hidden beneath the surface. Laura Bennett's console beeped with new data. "Captain, their scans are going crazy trying to make sense of what we are. Everything they thought they knew about us just went out the window." The alien commander's voice came through again, but this time it had lost its arrogant tone. "What manner of deception is this? What are you?" Miller stood from his chair. "We're humanity, Commander. We've learned through our own history that looking weak while being strong is sometimes the best defense. Your scans didn't fail. We just let you see what we wanted you to see." "Impossible." The alien commander sputtered. "No species could hide such technology." Wilson's voice came from engineering, filled with pride. "The quantum phase shield isn't just for defense, Captain. Should I show them what else it can do?" "Not yet," Miller replied. "Let's give them one more chance to talk." He turned to Martinez. "Open a channel." Before he could speak, Hayes interrupted. "Sir, 3 more alien ships just dropped out of FTL behind us. Much bigger than the others." Miller looked at the tactical display. The Defiant was now surrounded by 10 alien ships, all of them charging weapons. The time for talking was quickly running out, and humanity's most advanced battleship was about to reveal just how far Earth's technology had really come. "Wilson," Miller said calmly, "power up the antimatter cannons. Let's show them what happens when they pick on the wrong primitive species." The space around the U.S. Defiant lit up with purple energy as all 10 Zixtarian ships fired at once. Their beams converged on the human battleship from all directions, creating a light show that would have been beautiful if it wasn't so deadly. Quantum shields holding steady at 98%, Lieutenant Hayes reported calmly. "They haven't even scratched us." Captain Miller watched the alien ships on the main screen. "Wilson, what's the status of the antimatter cannons?" "Fully charged and ready, sir," the chief engineer replied from his station. "I've tuned them to match the frequency of their crystal technology. Just say the word." The alien commander's voice boomed through the bridge speakers again, but now it carried an edge of fear. "What are you? How are you doing this?" Miller ignored the question. "Lieutenant Martinez, are you still picking up their communications?" "Yes, sir." Martinez adjusted his headset. "They're panicking. The smaller ships are asking permission to retreat, but the commander is refusing to back down." Laura Bennett spoke up from her science station. "Captain, I finished analyzing their fleet formation. Their 3 larger ships are carrying some kind of colonization equipment. They really did come here expecting to take over." Miller's face hardened. "Not today." He pressed a button on his chair. "This is your final warning, Commander. Stand down and leave human space, or face the consequences." The response came in the form of another barrage, this time with the larger ships focusing their fire on a single point of the Defiant's shields. "They're trying to overwhelm our shields in one spot," Hayes reported. "It won't work, but they're definitely trying." Miller nodded to Wilson. "Show them what one primitive human ship can do. Target the nearest small ship, minimum power." Wilson's fingers danced across his console. The Defiant's hull shifted, panels sliding apart to reveal the antimatter cannon ports. The weapon looked simple, just a smooth, silver barrel, but the technology inside was decades ahead of what Earth publicly admitted to having. "Firing," Wilson announced. A beam of pure white light shot from the Defiant. It hit the targeted alien ship's crystal arrays. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a silent flash, all the purple crystals on the ship's hull shattered at once. The alien vessel's lights flickered and died, leaving it drifting in space. "Direct hit," Hayes reported. "Their ship is completely disabled. No casualties, but all their systems are offline." The remaining alien ships stopped firing. On the bridge, everyone could hear the panic in the alien communications that Martinez was translating. Their crystal technology. It just shattered. How did they know? "We can't fight this. All ships, retreat." "Raider." The commander's voice cut through the chaos. "No, we are the Zixtarian Empire. We do not retreat from primitives." The 3 larger ships moved forward, their crystal arrays glowing brighter than before. But Miller could see the smaller ships beginning to back away. "Sir," Hayes called out, "the large ships are charging up some kind of super weapon. Energy readings are massive." "Wilson," Miller ordered, "target their weapon crystals. Full spread, but keep the power low. We want to disable, not destroy." The Defiant fired again, this time 3 precise beams striking each of the larger ships. The effect was the same. Crystals shattered, systems died, and the mighty alien warships went dark. In the silence that followed, Martinez's console lit up. "Captain, we're getting surrender signals from the remaining ships. They're begging for mercy." Miller stood up, straightening his uniform. "Open a channel." When Martinez nodded, he spoke clearly. "This is Captain Miller. Your ships are disabled, not destroyed. We could have killed you all, but that's not our way. Remember this moment. Remember that humanity showed mercy when you showed none. The alien commander's voice was barely a whisper. We understand. Please, let us leave. You can leave, Miller replied. But first, you're going to tell us about all the other species you've enslaved. And then you're going to free them. The disabled alien ships floated silently in space, their once proud crystal arrays now just scattered debris around them. The U.S. Defiant had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy, not through destruction, but through a show of strength and mercy it would be remembered for generations to come. Laura Bennett looked at her readings and smiled. Captain, you might want to see this. Our sensors are picking up signals from dozens of nearby star systems. Word of what happened here is spreading fast. Good, Miller said. Let them all know. Humanity is here, and we protect those who can't protect themselves. Security Chief Amanda Foster walked quickly through the Defiance corridors, her tablet filled with incoming messages from across the galaxy. She entered the bridge, where Captain Miller and the senior staff were reviewing the aftermath of their encounter with the Zixtarian ships. Captain, you need to see this, Foster said, connecting her tablet to the main screen. The communication channels are exploding with activity. Every enslaved species in this sector is talking about what just happened. The main screen filled with messages in different alien languages, all automatically translated by the ship's computers. The crew watched in silence as hundreds of messages scrolled past. The humans defeated them. Their mighty crystals shattered like glass. Just one ship stood against 10. They showed mercy when they could have destroyed them. Martinez turned from his communication station. Sir, we're getting direct messages now. Different species wanting to contact us. Some are even sending us maps showing Zixtarian patrol routes and colony locations. Laura Bennett studied the data flowing across her science station. These species, there are dozens of them. Some have been under Zixtarian control for hundreds of years. They're all reaching out to us now. Captain Miller sat in his command chair, thinking, what about the Zixtarians? Any response from their homeworld? Yes, sir, Martins replied. And you're not going to like it. They're sending what they call a proper fleet to deal with us. Early reports suggest over 50 ships. Lieutenant Hayes looked up from her sensor readings. The disabled ships we left behind are being towed away by their allies. But, sir, the rescued slaves on those worlds are starting to fight back. They're using our victory as inspiration. The bridge crew watched as more messages poured in. Videos showed aliens of all kinds rising up against their Zixtarian overlords, using the confusion to their advantage. Crystal towers were being torn down. Slave camps were being liberated. They're not just fighting back, Foster observed. They're coordinating with each other, using our battle as a template, targeting the crystal technologies we proved were vulnerable. Robert Wilson's voice came through the intercom from engineering. Captain, I've analyzed more data about their crystal tech. If we share this information with the resistance fighters, they can disable Zixtarian ships with much simpler weapons. They don't need our advanced technology to fight back. Miller stood up and walked to the main screen, watching the revolution unfold. Send the information through secure channels, Wilson, but only the defense strategies, not our offensive capabilities. Let's help them protect themselves without starting a wider war. Sir, Martinez called out suddenly. Priority message from Earth Command. Admiral Chen wants to speak with you. The Admiral's face appeared on the screen. Despite the serious situation, she was smiling. Captain Miller, I see your first contact situation has turned into quite the galactic incident. Sorry about that, Admiral, Miller replied. We didn't expect to start a revolution. Don't apologize. You get exactly what that ship was built for, showing bullies that humanity won't stand for oppression. I'm sending 3 more ships your way. The U.S. Liberty, U.S. Freedom, and U.S. Hope. Their captains have been briefed on your situation. Laura Bennett's console beeped urgently. Captain, Admiral, long-range sensors are picking up multiple FTL signatures. The Zixtarian reinforcements are coming sooner than we thought. They'll be here in 6 hours. Admiral Chen's expression turned serious. You have new orders, Captain. Stay in position. Show them what one Earth ship can do was a good lesson. Now show them what a fleet of Earth ships can do. But remember, we're there to free people, not conquer them. Understood, Admiral, Miller replied. We'll hold position and wait for reinforcements. After the Admiral's image faded, Miller turned to his crew. Foster, coordinate with the resistance fighters. Help them set up proper defense networks. Bennett, analyze all the data we have on Zixtarian tactics. Hayes, keep those sensors at maximum range. I want to know the moment our reinforcements arrive. Martinez, keep those communication channels open. And Wilson. Let me guess. The engineer's voice came back. Make sure our surprises are ready for their proper fleet. Exactly. Miller looked at the messages still flowing across the screen. Messages of hope from species that had lived in fear for centuries. They thought we were primitive because we didn't use crystal technology. Time to show them that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to inspire others to stand up for themselves. The crew returned to their duties, preparing for the larger battle to come. The Defiant had started something much bigger than a single ship action. They had given hope to the hopeless, and now they had to prove that hope was justified. The U.S. Defiant's bridge crew watched as the massive Zixtarian armada dropped out of FTL travel. 53 ships appeared, led by a flagship that was bigger than anything they had seen before. Its crystal arrays glowed with a deep red light instead of the usual purple. That's their Supreme Commander's vessel, Martine said, translating incoming communications. They're calling it the Crystal Throne. Captain Miller stood calmly. Time until our reinforcements arrive. 20 minutes, sir, Hayes replied from her station. The Liberty, Freedom, and Hope are pushing their engines to get here. The giant alien flagship sent out a transmission. A new voice filled the bridge, deeper and more threatening than the previous commanders. I am Supreme Commander Zixnar. You have interfered with our divine right to rule lesser species. Your destruction will remind the galaxy of its proper order. Miller didn't respond immediately. Instead, he turned to weapons specialist John Cooper, who had been quietly working on something at his station. Cooper, is it ready? Cooper looked up with a grin. Yes, sir. Their crystal technology gave me an idea. Our gravity manipulation system can be tuned to create a resonance field. If we do it right, we won't even need to fire a shot. Sir, Hayes called out. They're moving into attack formation. All ships are charging weapons. The Supreme Commander's voice boomed again. Your silence will be your last insult. All ships, fire. The space around the Defiant lit up as 53 ships fired at once. The combined firepower was enough to destroy a small moon. But the Defiant's quantum shields held firm, absorbing the massive energy attack. Shields at 89%. Hayes reported, holding steady. Miller nodded to Cooper. Show them your idea, specialist. Cooper's fingers flew across his console, activating gravity resonance field in 3, 2, 1. The Defiant's hull began to emit a strange, rippling wave that was visible even to the naked eye. As it spread out, the crystal arrays on the nearest alien ships began to vibrate. The field is working, Laura Bennett called from her science station. The crystals are resonating at their natural frequency. If they don't power down their weapons, the crystals will. Before she could finish, the crystals on 5 nearby ships shattered all at once. The ships went dark, drifting helplessly. The rest of the fleet began to back away, but the rippling field kept spreading. Impossible. Supreme Commander Zixnar's voice shook with rage. All ships, increase power. Overwhelm them with everything we have. Sir, Martinez interrupted. Our reinforcements have arrived. 3 Earth battleships dropped out of FTL behind the alien fleet. Each one activated its own gravity resonance field, creating a web of rippling waves that trapped the Zixtarian fleet. "This is Captain Sarah Williams of the U.S. Liberty," a new voice announced. "Looks like you could use some help, Defiant." The alien ships caught between the four gravity fields watched helplessly as their mighty crystal technology began to shake itself apart. Ship after ship lost power as their crystals shattered. "Supreme Commander," Miller finally spoke, "you talk about divine right to rule. But look around you. Your mighty fleet is being defeated without us firing a single shot. We're using your own technology against you, not because we're stronger, but because we're smarter." The Crystal Throne's red arrays were the last to start shaking. Supreme Commander Zixnar's voice had lost all its confidence. What are you?" "We're humans," Miller replied simply. "We spent centuries fighting among ourselves before we reached the stars. We learned that true power isn't about having the biggest weapons or the strongest shields. It's about using your brain to turn an enemy's strength into a weakness." The red crystals of the Crystal Throne finally shattered, leaving the mighty flagship powerless. The entire Zixtarian armada floated dead in space, defeated by a simple understanding of crystal resonance. "All ships secure," Captain Williams reported. "The fleet is disabled. No casualties." Miller looked at his crew, proud of what they had accomplished. "Send word to all the resistance groups. The Zixtarian fleet is finished. Their Supreme Commander is about to learn an important lesson about underestimating primitive species." Cooper looked up from his station. "Sir, should I add this gravity resonance trick to the data package we're sharing with the Resistance?" "Do it," Miller nodded. "Let's make sure this empire can never rebuild itself. Sometimes the best way to win a war is to make sure your enemy can't fight anymore." The four Earth ships surrounded the defeated alien fleet, their gravity fields keeping the mighty armada powerless. The age of Zixtarian dominance was over, ended not by superior firepower, but by human ingenuity. Lieutenant Rachel Sanders stood in the Defiant's main conference room, surrounded by holograms of resistance leaders from a dozen different species. After the defeat of the Zixtarian fleet, she had been put in charge of coordinating the liberation efforts across the sector. "The crystal resonance technology has been distributed to all major resistance cells," she reported to the gathered aliens. "The Zixtarians can't power up a single ship without risking total system failure." A tall, blue-skinned alien leader named Kraz spoke up. "My people have already freed 3 colony worlds. The Zixtarian guards surrendered as soon as their weapons stopped working. But we're worried they might have hidden technology we don't know about." Captain Miller walked into the conference room, nodding to the assembled holograms. "That's why we're not stopping at just disabling their ships. Lieutenant Sanders, show them what we found in the Supreme Commander's database." Sanders pulled up new holographic images showing secret Zixtarian bases and supply lines. "They have backup facilities scattered across 20 star systems. But thanks to the data we captured, we know where every single one is. Right now, resistance forces are moving to secure them all." Another resistance leader, a small reptilian being called Vex, raised a clawed hand. "What about the Zixtarian homeworld? They still have ground-based weapons that don't use crystal tech." "That's already being handled," Miller said with a smile. He pressed a button, and a new hologram appeared showing the Zixtarian home system. Hundreds of ships from different alien species were gathering there, all equipped with the resonance technology shared by humans. "The Liberation Fleet is made up of ships from every species they enslaved," Sanders explained. "The Zixtarians are completely surrounded. Their own people are demanding their leaders surrender." The conference room doors opened again as Laura Bennett rushed in. "Captain, you need to see this. The Zixtarian civilian government is making an announcement." The holograms shifted to show a group of Zixtarians in civilian clothes rather than military uniforms. Their spokesperson looked nervous as they addressed the galaxy. "For too long, our military leaders have claimed that conquest was our divine right. Today, we say, no more. We have seen how one human ship defeated our greatest fleet not through superior firepower, but through wisdom and mercy. We hereby announce the complete surrender of the Zixtarian Empire." The resistance leaders began cheering. Years of oppression were ending, not with a massive battle, but with a peaceful surrender. "There's more," the civilian spokesperson continued. "We ask for the help of Earth and all our former subjects in building a new government, one based on cooperation, not conquest. We have much to learn about being part of a peaceful galaxy." Miller looked at Sanders. "Lieutenant, looks like you have a new job. These people will need help setting up fair systems of government." Sanders nodded, already making notes on her tablet. "I've got contact information for Earth's best diplomats and legal experts. We can help them build something that works for everyone." Through the ship's windows, they could see ships of all sizes and shapes moving through space. Former slave species working together, sharing resources and knowledge. The Defiant's victory had done more than just defeat an empire. It had brought together dozens of species in a common cause. "Captain," Martinez's voice came over the intercom. "Message from Admiral Chen. Earth's Council has approved the creation of a new galactic protection fleet. They want the Defiant to lead it." Miller looked at the gathered resistance leaders. "What do you think? Would your people be interested in joining a fleet dedicated to protecting the weak from the strong?" Kraz stepped forward. "My people would be honored. We have ships, and now, thanks to you, we have the knowledge to use them properly." One by one, the other leaders agreed. Their former oppressors' military might was being transformed into a force for peace and protection. Sanders pulled up a new display showing hundreds of ships from different species, all waiting to be part of the new fleet. "Sir, I think we're going to need a bigger conference room." Miller laughed. "What we need is hope that this will last, that everyone remembers the lesson. True strength isn't about having the biggest guns or the fanciest technology. It's about using what you have wisely and helping others do the same." The room filled with light as more resistance ships arrived through FTL, each one representing another world choosing to join the new alliance. The age of empire was over. The age of cooperation had begun, all because one human ship had shown the galaxy a better way. 1 year after the fall of the Zixtarian Empire, the U.S. Defiant orbited Earth, its hull gleaming in the sunlight. Inside his quarters, Captain David Miller adjusted his dress uniform, preparing for the ceremony that would mark the official founding of the Galactic Protection Fleet. A knock at his door revealed Lieutenant Emily Hayes. "Sir, they're ready for you in the main hangar." Miller followed her through the corridors, now filled with crew members from a dozen different species. The Defiant had become more than just Earth's most advanced battleship. It was a symbol of unity across the galaxy. The main hangar was transformed. Flags from hundreds of worlds hung from the ceiling. Representatives from every former slave species stood in neat rows, wearing their own cultural versions of formal military dress. At the front, Admiral Chen waited next to a simple podium. "Hard to believe it all started with one bluff," Robert Wilson whispered as Miller passed him. The chief engineer had spent the last year teaching other species about Earth's technology, helping them build defenses that didn't rely on crystal power. Laura Bennett stood with a group of alien scientists. They had been working together, combining knowledge from different cultures to create new technologies that could benefit everyone. "The Zixtarians actually did us a favor," she told Miller. "They brought us all together." Miller reached the podium where Admiral Chen waited. Through the hangar's force field, they could see ships from every allied species floating in formation around Earth. The Defiant's quantum shields had started a revolution, but it was the sharing of knowledge that had changed the galaxy. "Captain Miller," Admiral Chen said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "your actions showed the galaxy what humanity truly stands for. Not just our technology or our strength, but our wisdom and compassion." She turned to address the gathered crowd. 1 year ago, the U.S. Defiant proved that a single ship with the right principles could change the galaxy. Today, we make sure that change lasts. Miller stepped up to the podium. "When we first encountered the Zixtarians, they thought we were primitive because we didn't use their crystal technology. They never understood that true advancement isn't about having the fanciest tools. It's about how you use what you have. He gestured to the assembled representatives. Look around this room. Former enemies now working together. Scientists sharing knowledge instead of hoarding it. Soldiers protecting the weak instead of oppressing them. This is real power. Rachel Sanders approached the podium with a data tablet. Sir, the final membership count for the Galactic Protection Fleet. 342 species have joined. Even some former Zixtarian colonies want to help protect others. The hangar erupted in cheers. Through the force field, more ships were arriving. Vessels of all shapes and sizes, built by different cultures, but all serving the same cause. There's something else, Sanders added with a smile. Remember those primitive races the Zixtarians were planning to conquer next? They've all been contacted. We're helping them develop at their own pace, with no pressure to join until they're ready. Admiral Chen handed Miller a new insignia, the symbol of the Galactic Protection Fleet. It showed many different stars joining to form a shield. The Defiant will lead the fleet, she announced. But its mission has changed. Instead of hiding our advancement, we'll help others advance themselves. Miller looked at his crew, humans and aliens working side by side. John Cooper, who had turned the enemy's strength into their weakness. Kevin Martinez, who had helped different species learn to communicate. Amanda Foster, who had taught former slaves how to protect themselves. 1 year ago, Miller said to the crowd, "We showed that a single ship could change the galaxy. Today we promise that no species will ever have to face oppression alone again." The Defiant proved that humanity's true power isn't in our weapons or our shields. It's in our ability to bring people together. Through the hangar's force field, the Earth's sun was setting, casting golden light across the assembled fleet. Ships of every size and design floated together, their crews no longer divided by species or technology. The Defiant had started its journey as humanity's most advanced battleship, keeping its power hidden. Now it had become something more, a symbol of hope, unity, and the promise that in this vast galaxy, no one had to stand alone. Admiral Chen smiled at Miller. "Ready to lead this new fleet, Captain." Miller looked at his mixed crew, at the allies they had made, and at the peaceful galaxy they had helped create. "Ready as always, Admiral. After all, we're not just protecting Earth anymore. We're protecting everyone."